Russia just received another major boost to its frontline firepower, and it's coming from one of the most battle-proven jets in the entire war. Let's break down how the Su-34M is helping reshape the Russian airspace force and why its impact in Ukraine has been massive. With the latest Su-34M fighter bombers delivered by the United Aircraft Corporation, or UAC, the VKS, or the Russian Airspace Force, continue to expand and modernize their fleet. The Su-34M is primarily produced as the Chkalov-Novosibirsk aviation plant, and with the year almost over, it's worth looking at how many new aircrafts have joined the VKS in 2025. The latest delivery came in late October, with earlier batches arriving in April, July, August, and September. Since UAC usually delivers fighters in pairs, at least 10 new Su-34M aircrafts have been delivered so far, matching last year's total. However, another delivery before year-end is very possible, which would put this year's Su-34M output above 2024, just like how Su-35S production this year has already exceeded last year's numbers. Since 2022, UAC has more than doubled its annual production rate compared to pre-conflict levels. This means Russia is not only replacing battlefield losses, but steadily enlarging the total size of the Russian airspace force. In fact, for several months now, there have been almost no reported Russian aircraft losses, highlighting continued air dominance at the front lines, even as Ukraine has begun receiving F-16s from the United States. Russia has not been able to completely eliminate the Ukrainian Air Force or establish total air supremacy, but the VKS continues to maintain the advantage along the front lines. The Su-34M has become the primary workhorse of the VKS in Ukraine. It performs the highest sortie rate of any Russian combat aircraft and is used across nearly every type of mission, like air-to-air and air-to-ground attacks. Most commonly, it delivers cost-effective guided glide bombs that strike fortified Ukrainian positions as long as Russian ground forces can provide accurate geo-targeting coordinates. Alongside artillery, the Su-34M provides heavy bombardment support for advancing Russian troops. Over the past year, the aircraft has regularly dropped the Fab 500, the Fab 1500, and even the massive Fab 3000 glide bombs from safe standoff distances. In recent months, Russia has further upgraded these weapons. New rocket-assisted glide bomb designs have begun appearing in photographs, suggesting increased range and speed. Estimates place the new rocket-assisted models at roughly 193 kilometers of range, making them faster, harder to intercept, and even more accurate, despite the original glide bombs already being extremely difficult to shoot down. The high survival rate of the Su-34M is the result of tactics developed over the course of the war. One common method is flying low using terrain masking to avoid radar detection, and then rapidly climbing to a medium or high altitude before releasing glide bombs from 70 to 100 kilometers away. The higher the release point, the farther the bombs can glide accurately to their target. After release, the Su-34 descends again to low altitude while heading home, minimizing the time it is exposed to enemy radar. Ukrainian air defense radars are also often switched off unless they know aircrafts are approaching because radar emissions can expose their position. If it's always active, they can be targeted by anti-radiation missiles. The Su-34M also uses electronic countermeasure pods to disrupt incoming radar locks and missile guidance. In cases where the aircraft carries long-range standoff weapons like cruise missiles, it may remain at medium altitude and rely on ECM alone, confident that it's still outside surface-to-air engagement range. Russia has tens of thousands of unguided bombs left over from the Soviet era, and turning them into modern GPS-guided glide weapons has allowed the VKS to conduct continuous, large-scale bombing operations cheaply and effectively. Cruise missiles are expensive and complex to manufacture, so they're reserved for strategic, high-value targets. In contrast, glide bombs are inexpensive, accurate, and devastating. They have destroyed countless fortifications, bunkers, and troop concentrations along the front. Despite being a large aircraft, around 50% bigger than typical Russian fighters, the Su-34 is still based on the super maneuverable Su-27 airframe, widely considered one of the most agile fighter platforms ever created. For this reason, the VKS remains confident that the Su-34M can also handle itself in air-to-air combat if necessary. It carries electronic countermeasures, sensors, and missile defenses that have already proven effective. most notably when an Su-34 survived a Patriot missile strike last year. The Su-34M may not be the flashiest aircraft in Russia's inventory, but it has proven to be one of the most decisive. Cheap, reliable, heavily armed, and constantly upgraded, it is the backbone of Russia's air war in Ukraine, and every new batch makes that advantage even harder to challenge.